Hello everybody and welcome to episode 21 of the Moonboy Podcast. I'm just hanging out here in California with Donovan at Lawrence's house. We're just doing our podcast here while we get set up our apartment so we can do them in the apartment for the future. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about XRP, our move to California, Zilliqa, probably going to be running over an alt season update because there's been a lot of altcoins popping off, and talking a little bit about connecting with cool people that live out here. So if you guys actually live out here in Santa Monica or in California or in LA or any of these areas that are relatively close, go ahead and let us know in the comments below. As things open back up, we're probably going to do some type of meetups and stuff like that with our fans and our followers. So just some things along those lines. But before we get started, make sure that you're a follower and a subscriber to Donovan on his YouTube channel as well as on his Twitter at Vajalarazzi, and make sure that you're a subscriber to my channel on YouTube as well as my Twitter at HighAltitudeINV, because that's really the best way that you guys can get consistent updates, videos multiple times a week, as well as posts on Twitter, analysis that we do on Twitter, and then joining both of our Discord groups, which links will be in the descriptions of the video or the description of the podcast if you're watching this or listening to this on one of the major podcast platforms in which it's available. So yeah, make sure that you join all of those groups and areas so that you can get the maximization of our data and our content that we produce on a regular basis. So Donovan, XRP is a coin that I'm personally invested in, and I'm very, very excited about the chart pattern. It reminds me of Bitcoin a couple months ago, and I really, really like how the fact that it did that same head and shoulders pattern. Remember when Bitcoin did a head and shoulders pattern, everybody thought it was going to go down to 4,000 or maybe even make a new low, and then it just broke out because it was a fake head and shoulders. It didn't actually play out. That's kind of what I'm thinking XRP is today, and that's why I'm buying it. What are some of the reasons you're personally getting into XRP?
Yeah, I mean, my biggest reason for liking XRP was, I liked it from a fundamental perspective. I saw strength in comparison to the rest of the market, and by me saying that, there's going to be a lot of people out there that are saying, well, what do you mean? XRP's down 97% right now. But in actuality, what people are failing to realize is that there's a history aside from just 2017 and after. Whereas people don't even realize that XRP has been a leader inside of the top 3 stance of market cap and out of all the cryptocurrencies since it's been around. In fact, it's actually hung in the top 3 longer than Ethereum has. And so
hasn't it been there since 2014?
Yeah, 2014, and yeah, it would have been 2014, potentially at the very end of 2013. Yeah. Okay. And so it was one of those early coins there with like Litecoin and Dogecoin. Name coin, stuff like that. But
it held value better than those ones have.
Exactly.
Litecoin did pretty good so far as market capitalization.
Yeah, as far as maintaining that stance, it did better than Dogecoin, it did better than any of the other ones, but XRP for me has a much deeper fundamental use case. As far as why I've always liked XRP was just the fact that, we have this centralized way of thinking. All of the databases, all of everything is stored on centralized servers. And then we have the decentralized economies. And really, there's going to be a point where we have to bridge that gap, because it's not like we can just send all of our information onto a blockchain, because, it's not feasible right now. And in this case, XRP is going after global transactions, and it's going for cross-border payments. And so we have all these banks, they all are issuing and using fiat currency, potentially even gold and silver and other precious metals. But the thing is with that, we don't really have a way to send that value to a blockchain, or we don't have a way to issue a cryptocurrency doing that. And I don't think that we're immediately going to just adopt a decentralized crypto and then that's the end, we're going to stop fiats entirely. There's going to be a process where we need to actually bridge that gap, and through XRP, it's going to be the cryptocurrency that does that. It's going to take banks from being one of fiat, and it's going to migrate the two by using cryptocurrency, specifically XRP. And then we're going to have a way for faster transactions. In fact, we've already seen it with Brazil. Brazil is, their central banks has already been in talks with Ripple, I should say. They've been in talks with Ripple, and I just had somebody that actually has a friend inside of the finance sector inside of Brazil, and he said that there's a lot of closed-door meetings regarding XRP and gold. And so there's a lot of different things that I think banks are going to be using XRP for. And so aside from technicals, I love the technicals with XRP, even though it's down 97%. but it's always been the fundamentals that has kept me dollar cost averaging into that market.
And the technicals for you, what's the biggest technical reason?
Biggest technical reason, if you look at the chart itself, you're basically seeing an exact repeat of the last cycle that we just went through, almost identical. Even if you look at the time frames, break it down in yearly increments off the new year, it's almost the exact same chart. And so for me, that tells me that the same wells that accumulated back in the day are accumulating it again, and it's the same people that are going to get shaken out and are going to miss out on this opportunity as last time. And so if you can see almost an exact same market cycle as the year prior, the time frames line up exactly. On top of that, it's still maintained its top 3 status, and on top of that, it has more partnerships than there was even, back at the peak of 2017 heading into 2018. I think that that's my giveaway.
So what you're telling me is the use case has grown, the customer base has grown with more bank partnerships, more volume, even though the price has been dropping. So there's a divergence in the technological growth versus the 97%
yes, of course.
drop from the peak.
I mean, wouldn't you say that that's virtually the kind of what's taking place along most of the cryptos?
The ones that have maintained market capitalization, that haven't just completely fell off the cliff and then went down to like number 1,000 in market cap, like some of these have.
Right.
So yeah, the ones that keep their market capitalization, and also XRP volume, I believe, is higher than it was in 2017. And so volume is also showing that to be true as well. It's not just the technology divergence with the price going down, technology increasing, development increasing. It's actually technology development increasing and volume increasing while price.
Yeah, like this XRP against the peso. I remember you were showing me that chart a while back.
Yeah, the Mexican peso.
Yeah, tons of.
Peso.
You can, and that's the thing, is the fact that I'm pretty sure the Central Bank of Mexico is actually using a lot of XRP for those transactions, and that's something I kind of expect to carry over and really become a lot more. Kind of the cool thing to do is to hate XRP for some reason. That's been the case since this bear market started, and I've just seen a lot of hate regarding it. But, for me, if you look at the risk to reward by buying it, what's it at, like 20 cents right now, just to the all-time highs, like an 18x return, out of all of the high cap coins that have as many partnerships as XRP does, as a proven track record throughout all of the years of the Bitcoin cycles, for me, I trust that a lot more than the other cryptos, because I see a lot of people, they'll talk crap on XRP, then they'll go buy a coin that's only been on the market for a few months. And so it's like, where do you really draw the line? And in my opinion, I feel comfortable taking the small risk and investing into XRP, even with like the chart going down as much as it has, knowing that the fundamentals are stronger than there ever has been. And so it's more of a fundamental perspective with why I invest in the first place.
So what about for the people that give you angry comments when you call it Ripple instead of XRP? What do you have to say to those guys?
Well, if you get angry that somebody calls XRP Ripple, then that just means that you're here post 2017. Because the people that were here prior to 2017 that were investing in these markets, XRP was called Ripple. On all of the charts you type in Ripple to look at the XRP chart. And so for people like us that are trading off of technical analysis, it's this big funny thing where people get mad at you. Oh, well, it's the company's Ripple, not XRP. And yeah, well, it doesn't really matter. It's the same thing at the end of the day. And I think that's always just been a funny little joke that people just recently started actually getting mad. Because I know you made your first XRP video, and the same thing happened to me. I made my first XRP video, and then all of a sudden it just seemed like every time I called it Ripple, there was 2 or 3 people in the
angry comments.
Yeah, all the time.
It just tells me that the community really loves their coin and does not want it to be misrepresented.
Which is why I appreciate XRP community.
But also to add on top of that, we used to have fun little sayings like Ripple will triple, or in the bear market we called it Ripple the cripple. So I'm kind of sad that we don't get to say those anymore.
Yeah, well, you still can. You just might have an angry swarm of people yelling at you.
Call it Zerbs. Don't people call it Zerbs?
Zerps.
Zerps.
Yeah.
Get you some Zerps.
I think that Zerps actually came from, how like HODL came around, where it was people were trying to type in hold so fast that it was like HODL. They're spelling it wrong. I think that that's actually where Zerps came from. They were trying to type XRP and they kept typing Zerp. And so I think that that's actually where it came from, but I don't know.
I guarantee you, that sounds like the internet to me.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about it is the fact crypto in and of itself is a meme, and that's why I like Chainlink too, is the fact like you go and look, you type in the hashtag Chainlink and you go look at all of the community posts, 50% of them are just random memes that are just, you know, a lot of them don't really make sense, but they're just funny, and I think that that's a really cool part about cryptocurrency is the fact that everything's been so mainstream in the finance sector of the world for so long, everything's really, you know, straight edge, everybody follows the same path and nobody wants to stray outside of those lines. Whereas with cryptocurrency, you're starting to see the younger generations adopt it, and our generation, the millennials that are a little older, people like us I've found are a little bit more free thinking, a little bit more creative, and they have, you know, through memes, it's actually this way that we are able to express ourselves and able to, you know, share our message. And we're seeing that with cryptocurrency, just what the internet was, the impact it had on our generation. We're starting to see that being translated inside of digital money like cryptocurrencies, and then you're starting to see the whole aspect of the internet itself with like memes and with these big communities and stuff, and it's really interesting to see kind of how everything's taken foot.
So what's coming next? A meme of you standing next to a DeLorean?
A DeLorean?
DIY DeLorean?
That'd be cool.
DeLorean investing?
Well, I do look like Doc Brown with his hair. I have that. I think that that's pretty much a daily comment at this point. Yeah, that was one of the first things people said. Hey, you look like the guy from Back to the Future. And then I was like, oh my god, not the Doc Brown guy. And then sure enough.
And then also they're like, and also he predicts the future.
Yeah. Oh my god. I saw a DeLorean here in California the other day, and it was one of the first ones I'd ever seen. So that was
one with like the doors that go up. Like,
well, they all do that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So I must be a complete noob to the DeLorean
Yeah,
car.
what are you doing? You're slacking.
I know. Gosh.
Realistically, DeLoreans are cool, but they're slow. I want a Tesla Roadster. That's
me too.
Everybody's all overrated on the Lambo meme thing.
Especially in crypto.
Yeah, it's honestly overplayed. Like, could you pick an uglier car to at the end of the market talk? Like, at least pick the Roadster. It's faster, it's cooler, and it's backed by Elon Musk. So, like, what more could you ask for?
Which is about to moon his stock. I'm so glad I've been buying some because it's just fun to be invested in something that looks like Qualcomm before it went crazy.
Yeah, it really does, though. And it's cool that, you know, with this crypto bull run, we'll see Tesla really doing well with all of that. And, you know, stocks like Amazon, Facebook, I think that those will do good regardless, but I think that the big winner is going to be Tesla in this next real rally for the stocks, because it looks like it just started the parabolic phase. It just barely left like that first sell-off, is what I would believe.
For me, it's like one of those stocks that you know has a lot left over, because there's a lot of stocks in the stock market right now that are parabolic, and you know, some of them like Amazon, that one's been going up since 2003 now. It's very parabolic, and it could still go even more parabolic. There's nothing saying it can't. But with that being said, it's a lot funner to buy something that's in like that first sell-off, or like the little panic that happens before the huge parabolic run.
It's instantaneous profit.
Exactly, and also it's just like, you know, that there's a lot more left in the trend than maybe some of the other ones that have been trending for like so long now, that there can't be that much left inside of that trend before it has a corrective wave of some type. So that's kind of the reason I'm excited about Tesla.
Yeah. Tesla, I mean, realistically, with Elon Musk, I think that everything that he's doing is just, I mean, we just barely got to California, and almost every other car, it just seems like, is a Tesla out here. And so California's a little bit more hip to new trends. I think that that's a pattern that's only going to continue to grow, because when I was living close to Denver, I saw a lot of Teslas out there too. And so the bigger cities where there are the chargers, they're getting adopted, and specifically in California, you know, they give you a tax write-off. I think it's like a $3,500 deductible just to drive one. And then you also get a bonus per year that's, I think, $4,500. There's a couple different major benefits for you to actually own one. And so it's actually like, you could pretty much drive it for mostly free off of your payments alone, just from what you're saving off of benefits. So it kind of pays for itself in the first year. And so I think with people out here, that are more accustomed to, you know, newer trends, that are more accustomed to, you know, being more eco-friendly, I guess, is what the big selling point is. I think that it's only a matter of time before they become much more widely adopted, and we're already starting to see that. And with the stock, it kind of is a perfect representation of exactly that. It just looks very undervalued, and it looks like we just barely hit the point where we're starting that big parabolic move in Tesla.
So one of the big selling points is that it's eco-friendly, but do you feel like most people buy it because it's eco-friendly, or do you feel like people buy it because it's cool and because it's a freaking Tesla?
Well, it's definitely they're buying it because it's cool and it's a freaking Tesla, but it's the utility that I think is the most important thing, because what other car can you just sit in it, play on your iPad that's freaking twice the size of an iPad, and then let your car drive you to wherever you want to go? If you're in traffic, you know, you can pull up TradingView and you can sit there and look at charts and stuff. And
oh man!
On top of that, it's cheap. It's way cheaper than owning a gas car. For that reason, I mean, it's more expensive than a gas car, but
to purchase.
To purchase. But what you're gonna save from not paying in gas and stuff, because California gas prices are freaking insane.
Yeah.
Like, I drive around and look at that, and it's like at least $1 over. It's like $1.30 more than where we were at, and the gas where we were at was higher than it was even in Colorado, and so everything's way more expensive out here. And so it seems like it's a good give and take to actually buy a Tesla and invest into that, because it is, you know, it makes sense out here in places like this. Maybe not in Utah, where there isn't a charging station for 500 miles, but in other places it's
There
feasible.
isn't charging stations very often out there, or do you know?
I mean, if you're in Salt Lake, you could find some, but if you're where we are, it's not even
where
feasible.
we were?
Yeah, you couldn't even do anything.
So what about moving to California? How do you feel about it so far?
It's cool. It's definitely the place to be if you want to meet people. I mean, I've met more people in just a few days than I think I've talked to in a year in Vernal. So,
and a lot of people that are really high energy, a lot of people that are really communicative.
Yeah, it's almost like they're
cool
just
things.
Sitting here taking in all this vitamin D all day. Can't help but smile. They got that sun-kissed
There's probably
skin.
2 types of vitamin D that goes around in this place, but we won't get into it.
There's plenty of that. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what's your favorite part about being in California thus far? Because it's been quite the change from what we're used to.
Well, the reason that I did it is because of connections and people, you know, for high altitude, for some of the other ideas that I've been working on, been constructing. And so the main purpose is connections and people. And also, you know, ever since I was a kid, I would tell people when I'd go to church when I was younger, I was like, listen, you guys, I want to live in a place that it's always sunny. I hate this freaking cold weather. So California is that place for me. Not only is it sunny all the time, not only do I have access to Whole Foods right next to me so I can buy good, healthy food on a regular basis. I have a bunch of healthy eating options around me. I have a bunch of really cool people that are already into cryptocurrency, already know people that are like up at the top of, you know, whether it's MakerDAO, whether it's Ethereum, people that are literally like one phone call away from developers at the top of these major projects. So to be able to be plugged directly in with them, you know, or even my crypto wallet, which is the new My Ether wallet.
Right.
Like Denver, I was hanging out with him yesterday, he knows that guy. So it's just to be able to find people that know people like that, to make those connections, to integrate myself with those people, learn from them, teach them what I know. That's the reason I'm here, and it's already starting to happen, and it's beautiful to be part of it. So
yeah, it's a fun place for sure. I mean, if you're trying to meet people, you're trying to network, you're trying to start a business, like, you want to go where you're going to be able to make the most connections. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time, more or less. Because, you know, if you take the risk and dive into something like coming out here, where, you know, everything's way more expensive, but it's not so much, oh crap, like I'm paying way more, like this is terrible. It's, I'm investing into myself so I can make these connections, so I can build my own personal brand, because that's the most important thing. And, you know, everybody I talk to out here, for the most part, you know, they're put together enough to an extent where they can, you know, afford to pay for all this stuff out here. But then you're finding just an abundance mentality across everybody. Even the people that don't necessarily have a ton of money, you know, they're still living almost in a state of abundance, where they're not worried about all this stuff. They're not, you know, stressing about this. Whereas where we come from, it seems like every single person is stressing.
Scarcity.
We come out here, everybody's, you know, just abundant. There's plenty of wealth. There's plenty of women. There's
a lot more
plenty
smiles. A lot more people just going around like literally just with the biggest freaking grin on their face.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, you walk into any convenience store, you can have a conversation with somebody, and you just don't see that type of stuff everywhere. And so it's been a very nice change, a refreshing change, considering where we were just at. And so, you know, I'm looking forward to it all.
Yeah, I'm thankful for Bitcoin. I'm thankful for cryptocurrency. I'm thankful for all the stuff I've learned about market cycles, Elliott Wave investing. I'm thankful for you guys that follow us, that watch these channels. You know, we make money on ad revenue. We make money with the VIP course, and those also help support what we're doing by living here, which in turn adds so much value into our lives that we can bring it right back in for you guys, so you guys can make more money as well. And it's just so fun to be part of this kind of machine that creates more wealth and abundance for everybody through our YouTube channels, through our Discord groups, through our Twitter accounts. And I just have a deep sense of gratitude for the fact that we can live in a place like this, you know, at 23 and 22 years old. 22 now, yeah? 22, I thought so. So 23 and 22 years old, we're living in California. That's a beautiful thing. And really the hope is that we can help you guys, whatever your soul's desire is, whether it's California, whether it's moving out of the country, whether it's, you know, your favorite state in America, maybe you want to go to Alabama or something, like whatever you want to do. The whole point of this channel and the podcast is to have these conversations, to teach you guys what we've learned and allow you guys to have the same transformation that we've been able to have in our lives. And as we continue to increase our transformation, it just makes us easier to have that trickle down for you guys to have the same results that we're having.
Yeah, because, you know, I just made that in my last vlog that I just posted when I got to California, was the fact that I had been through so much crap to get to this point. You know, I'd struggled so much with my mental health, struggled with drugs, struggled with not having enough money, struggled with just, you know, really hard times with my family. And, you know, all of those things was the perfect excuse for me to just give up and quit entirely. But, you know, I focused in on this overall goal that I had, this vision that I wanted to be successful. I wanted to have my own business. I wanted to do the things that I loved every day. So it wasn't even like I was working. And, you know, it took a lot of work to get to this point, obviously, but now that I'm here, that was the biggest goal of this channel, was to be able to show the people that follow me, you know, if I was able to do this, if you were able to do it, you know, you were living in a shack, so yeah, his situation was the exact same as mine for the most part, except I wasn't in a shack, thank God. But it's just really funny that, you know, we stand up here and we talk about this stuff because we give, you know, somebody to look up to, like kind of like a figure to say, you know what, I'm not perfect, I've struggled with all kinds of stuff, I'm not relatively smart in comparison with like a lot of people, I'm not super book smart is what I should say. But
you don't know calculus.
Yes, all that type of stuff. Things that people think you need for trading, you don't need any of it. Really, it's just like pattern recognition and just understanding your own emotions. And when you can do that, you know, the world is basically yours, and that's the coolest part about this, is the fact we've been able to experience it. We've already, you know, we're out here in Santa Monica, one of the richest cities in the entire world, and we're living here in a state of abundance, but it was because we cultivated that state of abundance within ourselves beforehand. We believed that we were rich. We believed that, you know, we were working on life-changing things in the crypto markets with our YouTube channels. And now that we're actually here, you know, other people see that, and then they're able to, you know, look at their current situations and be like, well,
there is a way out.
Exactly. And that's the most important thing, and why I'm so thankful for everybody that watches this channel, is just because, you know, it wasn't very long ago that I was struggling, and to be at the point that I'm at now, it seems like the second that you just decide to change, and the second you give it all, 100%, whatever that means to you, it doesn't take very long before you start to see immediate results. And it's really just the fact that most people don't choose to just go 100% into the thing that they're choosing to. They kind of mess around with it. They'll do half and half. They'll kind of work a little bit.
Or they give up, which you didn't do. You reoriented towards success.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people will try and go 100%. They'll put too much on their plate to start. They'll overwhelm themselves. Then they'll pull back and only do about 50% of what they could. And then they'll realize, well, I could still be doing more. And then they'll find the happy medium. And then that's when you kind of come to that balance that you can really make that change.
Where you're pushing yourself, but you're not going to the point where you're breaking down emotionally.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably relate to that. I know for me, it was like when I first started trying to change my habits, it was like, wake up at 5:30, take a cold shower, meditate for an hour, do yoga after, eat this food, and then you just make it way too complicated until the point you're like,
all at once you go from being depressed, you're like literally don't even want to wake up past 9 a.m. and then you're trying to trick your body into 50 new habits all in one day, right after the day where you
just broke down.
Yeah, exactly, and you had pizza the night before, so then you wake up and you feel like crap. Yeah, no, I completely agree, and that's why it's so important to build up on things, to, okay, integrate this new habit. Now I have that one in. Integrate this new habit. Now I have that one in. Integrate this new habit. And also, starting with something like meditation helps a lot, because most of the stress that you're feeling is because you're not sleeping good and you're stressing out about stuff that it's not even useful for you to stress out, and you've created this narrative inside of your head where you're like, it's useful for me to have this stress because if I'm stressed out then I get this thing done. Stress is good because it teaches you what you should be worried about, and that's like stupid. That is the stupidest thing ever. It's just created by your mind. And so if you do something like meditation, that simple habit, very first and foremost, starts to allow you to realize that you have these limiting beliefs within yourself and then just completely eliminate them to the point where you're like, okay, I don't have to stress myself out to do all these things. I don't have to force myself to do all of these things. I just feel good now, and I feel light. I have a lightness in my heart. I have a lightness in my physical body. And now it's easy for me to do the things that normally felt extremely difficult. And so you move from this narrative of like, work super hard, go to the max every single day, wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and then you go from that mentality where you're just literally destroying your body into a mentality of, oh, I feel good, so my body just naturally woke up at 4 a.m. because that's when my body wanted to wake up, because it's producing the correct hormones to want to wake up early when the sun is rising or before the sun is rising. And then it just feels like your body is carrying you to the gym. You're not even forcing yourself to go to the gym. It's just taking you there, because you don't have the limiting belief that you have to force yourself or push yourself beyond your limits and all that crap.
Yeah.
And it's not, if you really want to push yourself beyond your own limits, if you really want to be the person that wakes up at 4 o'clock in the morning, that eats healthy food, that exercises every day, and all of those things, destroy your limiting beliefs that make you believe that stress is the way to do that, because stress is the exact way to make it so all of those things feel difficult and you get deeper and deeper into the slump that you may be in.
Yeah, I mean, I just, since we've got here, I've just noticed a huge change in just my overall energy level, and I don't really know what is the reason for that, but what I noticed that at times where it would be a little bit harder to do certain things, when you choose to meditate and when you choose to focus on eating healthy, and when you choose to, if you're struggling with something, you have the awareness to see that in the moment, and then you can change that thought process, reprogram your mind into something else. All it takes is just, the awareness of when you become struggling with something, or if you're eating unhealthy, or you notice negative patterns that are holding you back. All it takes is just taking one of those and then switching it. It only takes one. Maybe you're eating a lot of fast food. Just stop eating fast food. Instead, go to Whole Foods. Instead, go to any cheaper store, Ralph's, and then buy some stuff and make your own meals and practice doing that. And then you can move on to meditation. 10 minutes at night. After you get used to doing it for a week, you do 20 minutes, and then just do 20 minutes every single night, or in the morning, whatever works for you. But the second that you just incorporate those better habits, it really didn't take long for me when moving out here. It's like I was waking up at just under 6, like 5:50 something, and I just naturally wake up and just woke up.
Your
like
hormones
that.
are different.
Exactly.
So your body just triggers the signal. You don't have to crawl out of bed and force yourself to go to the gym.
Yeah, because I know exactly what that's like, to wake up at 10 in the morning and go back to sleep because you feel so exhausted. You're, in a way, you're terrified to even get up because you hate your life so much. Because that when I was living out in Colorado and I was in a very crappy situation, that's how I felt. The last week before I moved out and finally just got sick of it, I was going to bed. I was waking up at about 10. I was falling back asleep until around 12 to 1, potentially even longer than that, just praying that the day would end so that I could just didn't have to deal with that. And I know what that's like.
So you could go to sleep.
Yeah, just so I could repeat the same cycle.
Sleep's like the most orgasmic thing in your life at that point.
Yeah, it was. So I know what that's like. But the second that I just started meditating, the second that I started eating healthier, the second that I stopped trying to just smoke weed to get rid of all of my problems and stuff, was the second that I felt good when I woke up. And there's no greater feeling than that. And I remember you'd always tell me about that. Don't you just feel so good when you just wake up in the morning and there's no
launch out of bed?
Yeah, and I'm always like, dude, shut up! Like, you're crazy. Like, and then sure enough.
Yeah, no, it feels so good. It's crazy because you can literally, people do think that you're crazy because a lot of people haven't experienced it, or they haven't experienced it since they were a kid. So they've long forgotten the feelings of having that childlike mind, of having the correct hormones being produced in their body. Mm-hmm. And some people didn't even experience that from a kid, because even, a lot of people were eating unhealthy food or doing things to their bodies, even as a child, that they were just completely closed off to the correct hormones. Mm-hmm. But if you are coming from a state of the correct inner hormones, because of building up on little habits over time to where they just accumulate and create this snowball effect of a new self. Mm-hmm. Like, when you do that thing, like, you literally can launch out of bed in the morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, and when you wake up, you instantly feel like you're awake. There's no, like, when your eyes open, you're fully awake. Mm-hmm. And when you were asleep, you realize that you weren't stressing out or thinking about things all night long. Like, when I was in these lower states of consciousness, these lower vibrations, I was depressed and all of those things. At night, I would be stressed out. I'd roll around in my bed over and over and over and over. I'd grind my teeth all night long. I would do these little things that were just like stressed out because my subconscious mind was just full of bullshit. Mm-hmm. And so it was just repeating these same patterns over and over and over and over and over again. And then those patterns turned into, just by planting a few seeds of eating healthy or changing this habit into a better one, or just by planting those few seeds, it flowered and flowered and flowered and flowered and flowered into a point where, like, okay, I literally can, like I said, just wake up and instantly I'm awake. And while I was asleep, I've been dreaming about my future, dreaming about all these beautiful things in my life. And I don't feel like these patterns of just thoughts continuing to carry themselves over, these stresses, these worries, these concerns. I don't feel that. I just feel my dreams. I feel my passion. I know what I'm excited about today. I can articulate the notes of what we're going to talk about in the podcast. Like, everything is just coming to me. Like I said, going to the gym, it's easy to go to the gym. Making my video for that day, it's easy to make the video. Recording the podcast, it's exciting, fun, easy. When you're coming from that state of just everything is fun, everything exciting, everything is easy, everything flows to me, you literally feel like you're doing a divine purpose for the world. Mm-hmm. Like, you feel divine energy in the sense of, I am doing what is best for me, what is best for divine, and what is best for everybody else in my life. Mm-hmm. And when it's win-win-win for everybody, you feel so valuable, you feel so important for yourself, that it feels good to be alive. Life begins to feel like that orgasm. Mm-hmm. Like that feeling when you're asleep and you're depressed and you're like, oh, finally I get to go to sleep, and you're just looking for that high of being asleep. Like, all of a sudden, every day, all day long, you feel like just bliss, just euphoria.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool that you bring up that childlike state of mind and being, because, something I've always strived for, and for a while I told myself wasn't possible, was I had this early memory of me as a kid where I was at my grandma's house. I wake up in the morning and there's just sunlight, golden sunlight. It was like perfect golden hour just shining in through the blinds, and it was lighting up my face, and I just remember looking, and it was just so beautiful everywhere. And I get up, there's windows all across the house, and they were just beaming in with light. And I get up and I run into the kitchen, and I run out to the window, and I'm just looking outside, and I just see the sun starting to come up over the horizon. And I just remember being a kid and just feeling so good and just waking up full of energy. And a few years ago, 3 years ago, I kept thinking about that memory, and it would make me sad because of the fact I was unhappy. I couldn't wake up and feel energized, and I didn't feel myself necessarily, and I thought that it was impossible thought that once you got older, it just became, that was your new normal. You could never feel that way again, and that was just it. But, you know, the more that I focused in on improving my lifestyle choices, the more I focused on improving my mental health and worked on myself, the more that I've started to realize that, you know, you can feel exactly the same way. Maybe you don't have quite the same, you know, mentality as a child would, because everything's so
You're
new.
more mature.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
you still have that same feeling. You still have that love that permeates and radiates around everything. And then you have that energy that you can go work on your business, that you can look at charts, and that you can do all these things. And it's not like you have to wake up in the morning and the first thing you go do is grab a cup of coffee, because, you know, I know what that's like too. And the second...
And it's not even to say coffee's bad, it's just to mean that, like, if you're using it as an excuse, as a way to escape yourself.
Exactly, and I'm guilty of that. A lot of people are guilty of that. I mean, the whole selling point of coffee is exactly that, to get you to wake up in the morning. That's why it's used in the morning. And so, you know, the more that we can stop trying to use external things and searching for external things to find our happiness, and the more that we choose to just direct that energy back within ourselves, the more that you guys are actually going to see the changes that you want. And it seems really backwards. It seems like, oh, well, I'm sick, I need to take this pill, or, you know, I need to do...
I'm tired, I need to drink this coffee, this Monster.
Yeah, exactly. It really seems like everything is outside of us. Oh, this person said, you know, my hair looked funny. Now I'm mad at them. Like, you know, those are the type of things where we can blame everything, or we think that we need to use everything that's outside of us to make us happy. But the thing is, we create our own happiness. We create our own joy, our own energy, all of that stuff. And so, you know, it all just kind of comes from what choices are you going to make right now that's going to make you feel the things that you're desiring for in this moment right now. And that's just kind of the way I feel.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And it's so cool when you start to tap in, and it's going to start small. And I always recommend for people to check out the work of David Hawkins, the Hawkins scale. That's changed my entire life. It starts out small, you know, if you're in a state of apathy or you're not feeling any emotions, maybe you're not feeling any emotion right now. Or maybe you're in a state of shame or guilt where you just feel so guilty or shameful about yourself and where you're at in your life and the things that you've done. Or maybe you're at a state of desire where you're like, okay, I want to change. I'm so sick of this shit. I want to change. I want to change what I'm doing. And that's even higher vibration than shame and guilt and all of those things. Or maybe you're angry. You're like angry with yourself. Maybe you're angry at the world, which is even higher than those, because anger, at least you want change and you have the energy to do something about it. Or maybe you're in a state of acceptance where you're like, okay, this is the way things are. I'm okay. I'm going to be able to move forward. I'm going to be able to make this work. I'm going to figure this out. Or maybe you're in a state of joy where you're like, oh, wow, I'm happy. I feel good. I've been looking for this my whole life. I didn't know I could do it as an adult. I thought everybody, when they got an adult and they got an apartment and they had to pay rent, that they're all just depressed and sad. But that's not true. That's not the actual truth of life. And maybe you're in that state of joy. Awesome. That state of joy can carry you into a state of peace where you're like, I have everything I need. I do not need a single thing. Everything is perfect. And you have this inner peace. There's no inner chaos. You don't feel anxiety. You don't feel others' anxiety as much. You're literally just completely grounded in yourself. And you feel peace and calmness. And then that can move into even higher vibrations where all of a sudden you're dreaming. You go to sleep at night and you have a dream about this invention that can completely change the entire direction of humanity from headed down this path of darkness and chaos and destruction towards this path of peace and harmony and unification. And it's all because of this technology that just instantly gets downloaded into your brain, the entire idea for it while you're asleep. Or maybe you're just awake and then you're sitting there and you're like, oh, I know what I'm going to make my video about today. And you're just getting these downloads from these really, really high states of consciousness that are just telling you exactly what you should be doing, exactly what needs to happen for the human species, exactly what you should invent, exactly what you should make your video about. Mm-hmm. And that's what I think people are referring to when they say divine, or maybe they're getting communication with a higher power. Like that for me is like what that is when you're in such a good state of consciousness that things are easily coming to you. And it just comes from building up from these lower ones into the higher ones, and being aware that it's a process and a journey.
Yep. Something recently that brought me a lot of joy was buying Zilliqa before it started pumping.
Oh man. Man.
Yeah.
Nice job on that one, by the way.
That was exciting. Shout out to it. What's really funny is, remember how I used to always
Was
tell
that one
you,
of your calls?
Yeah.
For your group? Nice.
We posted that one in the Discord. We cashed out at like 60% profit. That was our first take profit, and then I cashed out some at like 160%.
Ooh.
So, and I'm still holding my some of it just for the long term. So it was a really good trade. A lot of people made some money.
How do you not spend your money on hookers and cocaine?
I don't know. I just got stuff everywhere. Well, with all this Zilliqa, I might just need to start doing some of that. Just kidding.
Donovan, I'm
that
watching
needs to,
out for you.
I'm a real dangerous type of guy, you know. I've done some crazy stuff, and now that I'm in Cali, I might just be real crazy. Yeah. No, honestly, that Zilliqa trade was really cool. I've been really excited about that. Seeing a lot of coins look like Zilliqa right now, just popping off across the board, one after another. That's what's really exciting. And it's nice that, you know, kind of what we were just talking about. In my opinion, when you cultivate a sense of satisfaction with yourself, you cultivate, you know, this high energy, this joy within yourself. You know, what normally was a chore to do things like look at charts like, ah, man, I just made my YouTube video. I just replied to all these Discord messages. Like, I really don't even want to look at charts right now. I guess I'll do it. And then you kind of like half-ass the whole time, and you're not even looking for anything compared to, you know, you wake up in the morning, you're at this high vibe, you're already resonating at joy and, you know, peace and enlightenment or whatever. You're residing in these very high frequencies and states of consciousness. And so what happens is, when you're sitting in there, you wake up and you're energized. You're like, oh my gosh, yes, I get to go make a video. You jump on the charts and you're looking at stuff. Oh wow, this is going to be such a good video. I'm excited. You know, you make your video. You're really excited and passionate about it, and people feel that energy when they watch you. And then after your video, you upload it. You go and reply to Discord messages, and you're excited to help people with their questions.
Genuinely.
Exactly. And then after that, you know, that's when you have that time to go look into charts. And if you're staying in a higher state, it's so much easier to actually go and look at those. And not only that, but when you do look at those, compared to if you're just half-assing it, like, I really don't even want to be here right now, you're not going to see the opportunity, you're not going to find the good setups, and your timing is going to be off because of that. You're going to be stuck on the wrong side of the market. Whereas, you know, the person that resides at a high state of consciousness, they're seeing the opportunity and they are capitalizing on it because they're already happy. They look at charts and they're looking for the opportunity, compared to, oh, I'm just waiting for this to get over, basically. They're looking for the opportunity, and for that, I honestly believe that that's why I was able to find Zilliqa. You know, people are going to be like, well, that's just a bunch of wishy-washy crap, that's a bunch of spirituality stuff. But in actuality, it's not, because that was my routine, basically.
Your hormones are going to reflect your actions, and your actions are going to reflect the results produced in your life.
Exactly. And that's personally what I felt. Everything that I just explained to you was pretty much my morning schedule. And when I was looking at those charts and I found it, I was already in a state where I was looking for an opportunity, and I was sitting there happy to look for one, and I knew that Zilliqa was going to pop off. And it's kind of funny that I bought Zilliqa, because the person that I saw post about it was actually the one of my counter indicators that I used to watch and do the opposite of what he said. But he posted a chart of Zilliqa and said, get ready for the next Digibyte, and I was like, oh crap. Like,
it really is.
Yeah, and so I bought it, and when I bought it, I was like, I'm not going to put too much money, I'm just going to little risk it.
Because he was your counter indicator.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm counter trading myself here, we better just barely risk it. But then it, you know, it broke up 180% from where I bought it, so it was all good. I mean, what have been some of your favorite coins that you've been looking into or have made some profit off of recently?
Well, because of alt season and everything, because the alt season is like, we're at the very, very forefront of the beginning of the alt season. We're like, you know, the Fibonacci spiral, how it expands. It starts 1, 1, 3, 5, 7, or whatever it is. How it expands out like that and gets bigger and bigger. It gets parabolic in its own nature, in the sense of the numbers get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Spread.
Yeah, we're like on number like 3 of alt season.
We're just starting the quick part.
The very, very earliest phase of the parabolic run that's coming. So a lot of the coins that are leading right now that I've been excited about. I mean, I've been talking a lot about Zilliqa in my group, going over analysis with Zilliqa as well. I've been doing a lot of Digibyte analysis, XRP analysis, and Peso's analysis, Link analysis. These are all coins that I'm invested in, that I'm excited about, and it's just fun to be part of the alt season as it's starting, and it's cool to know where we're at in the season, to know how early we are, and huge shout out to you guys for being here. I always say this: you are visionaries. If you're part of this channel right now, you're a visionary. You are literally. A visionary is somebody that can see what others can't see. You have a vision of what's coming. Mm-hmm. And that is exactly, if you're buying cryptocurrency right now, you are a visionary. You see what's coming.
Yeah, I agree. And if you've even made it this far into the podcast, chances are you're actually at a much higher vibration and a much higher state of consciousness than even you would see in yourself. And I think that for somebody to actually watch as far as we've talked today in the podcast and just unbiased, just listening to this, that shows a lot about your personal character.
Open mind.
Exactly, because you're actually able to comprehend the things that we say. Because that's the thing about, the things that we talk about, I don't expect everybody to understand it. In fact, the vast majority of people will not. And it's really made for the people out there that do understand it, or at least have the open mind and willingness to learn. Yeah, exactly. Because that's all it takes, realistically. And so this podcast is really designed for that, for us to give our thoughts and perspective, aside from technical analysis, just so you guys that watch this, can start to understand the habits that maybe are required to see that same success. Not necessarily required, but habits that we've personally used to get to this point. On top of that, just our own belief systems as well. And we've been able to find the success. We've been able to do this for a few years at this point. And it's really amazing that all these people watching this today are
quite
getting
a few years now, huh? Almost 5.
Yeah,
about 5.
I just barely hit 4, so you're in 5 at this point. You've been a year ahead of me. Now everybody else is getting in on this, and that's what's exciting, is the fact how cheap the markets are in retrospect to 2017 this time around. They're getting in at a really, really good time, insanely good time. And no matter what point you really buy, even if you were buying an XRP at 30 cents, that's still enough wealth to be made that you will, be able to do a lot of cool things with that. And that's what I'm excited for everybody that watches this, is just everybody that has goals, all these desires that you've been wanting to do. Maybe you wanted to have enough money to start a business, you wanted to go on vacation, buy a new car, do something for your family, whatever it is. Through cryptocurrency, you will be able to do that, and through smart investing and maximizing your own potential through your habits, through your mental health and all of these things, you'll be able to create all of what you've set out to do and then some, and then you never know what that opportunity is going to lead into something else. And so, just keep working on it nonetheless, because you never know what could possibly come from all of this.
Yeah, if you would have told me 5 years ago when I was sleeping in a shack that I would be living in California, if you would have told me that I would be living in California right now with my best friend making a podcast talking about how I could launch out of bed in the morning and make YouTube videos, I would have thought that you were completely insane. So even though I had a vision of how important cryptocurrency was, as you develop that vision, more and more pieces to the puzzle get brought to you, and it will flower into, like you said, more than you ever could have even imagined. And the amount of gratitude and fulfillment that you'll have in your life because of that will be invaluable, to the point where you'll be able to share that with everybody in your life and incorporate that gratitude, help them incorporate that gratitude into their life as well.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's really, it's the choices you make that are going to dictate all of the future that actually does come. Whatever future you want to live, it's the choices that you make now that 100% dictate that. And I know that for myself because, like I said, I was depressed, had issues with a lot of different things, and it felt like my whole life was falling apart. And finally, all it took was me just deciding one day, okay, I'm sick of this, I want more. And I just did whatever it took to get to that point. And now I'm here, I have all of what I've ever wanted and then some, living in a state of abundance. And in retrospect, it really wasn't that hard to get to this point. Obviously, it takes a lot of time and dedication, which may seem hard from the outside, but it's less of actual hard work and more just the consistency of just doing it, no matter what. And that's the thing where people fail. Majority of people fail. I'd say probably 80% of people fail. Is they want something.
Even meditation, I hear people are like, yeah, I've meditated before, but how often do you practice it?
Yeah, it's like, oh, I meditate. Okay, when was the last time you did it? I don't remember. Okay, well, you don't meditate then.
Yeah.
It's that type of stuff. Like, it's gotta become who you are. Like, you gotta do it every day, or, you know, have a schedule that you follow, something. Like, you gotta do it enough for it to actually have the benefits, and that's meditation, it's eating healthy, it's working on charts, that's working on a business, that's, you know, spending time with your family is a big one. Because, you know, you can find all the success and stuff, but the success, the money, you know, all of that stuff, it means nothing if you're not already happy with yourself. Because if you're not happy with yourself, your family's not going to be happy, your friends aren't going to be happy with you, and in turn, you're going to get more of that negativity in your life, and so you're going to be sitting there wondering, well, I have all this millions of dollars, I've got this nice car, I've got this huge house, but in this huge house, I'm just a shell, and my family doesn't even love me, it seems like. And, you know, that's another thing, is none of this, your goal should not be money, your goal should not be like having all of these nice things. Your goal should be to be happy with yourself, to eat healthy foods, and to just be genuinely fulfilled every single day.
A holistic approach.
Exactly, because once you have that, the money comes, the nice cars come, you know, the women come if that's what you want.
I'll raise my hand. I want it. I want it. Not gonna lie.
All of those things start coming for you, and then you're just like, whoa, let's get it.
Yeah.
And so that's how I feel right now.
Yeah, man. Speaking of women, back to what we were saying about how we just moved to California. If there's any girls that are into crypto, we both have email addresses. And you can come hang out and we'll talk crypto, talk charts a little bit. And we're looking to connect, not even just girls, we're looking to connect with lots of people out here. Like I said, doing meetups and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
I planned on hosting a meetup, so since we're both out here, maybe we'll just do it at the same time, and that would honestly be really fun.
That'd be way fun.
Yeah, so honestly, comment below if you guys would join, where you're tuning in from, and we're, like I said, we're in Santa Monica, California. We'd probably host it, you know, to here to Venice, somewhere pretty close by, I would assume. And, you know, if anybody would be interested in doing that here within the next couple months, just comment below, let us know so that we can kind of get a head count on that. Because I know I've got hit up by a lot of people out in the area that want that. And so, you know, it'd be nice that we could kind of plan around knowing exactly how many people would want to come out, so that we could maybe A, rent a place, or, you know, B, just figure out what the best place
and
to
it will
go.
probably be, for now, it'll probably be a little bit limited seating, just until everything blows over and people aren't as scared about the whole pandemic situation. But that will honestly make it even better in some ways, because we'll be able to be a little more specific, a little more hands-on, more direct with our questions. And so, you know, it'll actually end up being a good thing in turn. Both will be nice. In the future, we'll probably do bigger ones as well. But just know that we'll expect a little bit limited seating. So comment down below if that's something that you want. If and you know, you could be in any area. You could drive out here. We don't care. You know, the last meetup I hosted in LA, I hosted a meetup in 2018 in LA. People flew from out of country to come do it. There was like 40 people there. I had no idea that it was going to be like that. It was beautiful. It was a really fun experience. Some guy from the United Kingdom, huge shout out. He's a longtime Discord member. I really appreciate you, Rosyberg. You gave me a bottle of rum that day, so, so thanks for the rum from the UK. And it's just so cool to be part of this community and to be able to host these meetups, to be in California to do these meetups, and we look forward to connecting with more people through those various means. Another thing that we wanted to go over a little bit today was the volatility index. The volatility index, Donovan, I know you asked me what the VIX was earlier. So it's basically, for anybody that doesn't know, the volatility index is an index of all of the different stocks and oil and all these different things, and basically it shows how much movement there is. So if there's like a lot of people panic selling oil and then panic selling stocks and panic selling all this stuff, like what happened because of the pandemic situation, the volatility index just mooned. It just mooned because the volatility of the world increased through that period of time. I mean, Bitcoin was dropping. Everything was dropping through that period of time. So that's an index of volatility. What I see personally, it looks like it's setting up for another massive breakout. But this time that the volatility index moons, I think instead of the markets dropping like we had in the last one, we're actually going to see a massive run up in volatility, but also in value in the market. So a bullish move inside of the S&P 500, inside of a lot of the big picture charts. You know, we're talking the U.S. economy, we're talking oil, we're talking stuff that truly affects the economy on a mass scale.
And a lot of people, a lot of people out there are going to make the argument that stocks can't go up. There's too many people out of work. You know, the economy is in shambles, and yes, all of that is true. The economy sucks. Like, it's really struggling right now. But that's not. There's becoming a huge divergence right now between what is the GDP of the U.S. economy and in the stock market. We're having a massive divergence where, you know, the actual production, the actual profitability of our economy and how it's, you know, it's very sick right now and it's not doing very good. But, you know, you see all of these major corporations, the stock market, everything just seems to keep going up, and people are wondering, well, what the heck's going on? And we're hitting the very blow-off top, and this is kind of what you brought up to me. But now I'm seeing
getting ready for the parabolic wave and then the top.
Yeah, exactly. So
the 8-year cycle.
To give an example of what we're talking about with that, basically what we mean is if you looked at like 2017 XRP when it was at like, you know, 20 cents, and then it went from, you know, or it went from like 12 to 20 cents all the way up to $3.80. That was like the very last peak that we had. Bitcoin went from 3K to 20K, right? All in that one move. That was what we meant by the blow off top. And this is exactly the same thing that the entire stock market is getting ready to do. We're just barely starting that final parabolic phase where everything just goes straight up vertical, which seems kind of weird to talk about because the stock market has just done that up to this point. But this is where we're seeing the genuine euphoric pump. And the reason why I believe that is because for the first time ever we have apps like Robinhood and Webull where anybody can now just...
Retail money.
Exactly. Retail can easily buy stocks right now. And that's what we saw with I don't think it was Hertz, the company, the car company. Just recently went bankrupt, and then it's like literally skyrocketed like 500+%. And there was
because it's just FOMO.
Yeah, there was 160,000 new people buying into that, which was just retail money. And that's what tells me there is a retarded amount of dumb money that's ready to just flood into this market. But then you have people like, gosh, I can't remember his name. He's this guy that made a partnership with his company, made a ton of money, and then the economy, the current situation, he wasn't making any money, so he switched to day trading. And he just literally makes like huge positions because he's got tons of money to just day trade, and he's 100% a retail investor that just has a ton of money that is just, you know, making YouTube videos talking about the stocks that he's buying, talking about the losses that he's making, talking about the gains that he's making. And I don't know how he's doing, but I know that he's taken some fat losses. I don't know how big his portfolio is, but this is a guy that is a 100% retail investor that's ushering in the new wave of retail investors. And so
one of the top.
Yeah, exactly. He's not somebody that's a good technical analyst that's been doing it for years. He's just, you know, basically us back in 2017. And so, in my opinion, people like him is just a perfect reflection of the current market sentiment as far as what is happening. Everybody realizes the economy is in shit and it isn't profitable to work a job anymore. Like, you work to survive, basically. They're gonna see the stock market performing well, and everybody's gonna become a day trader. Everybody's gonna, you know, FOMO into not only crypto but the stock market, and that's what's gonna get crazy. As I think in this big blow off top, crypto's gonna do well, stocks are gonna do well, even other things like commodities may start doing well. As everything is just probably gonna go up, and then when that crashes, that's probably where we see the real time for oil to do good. Gold, silver may do good, continue to do good, but you know, it's hard to say exactly what may happen because if you looked at, you know, gold did really good after the 2008 financial crisis for about a year, and then it topped out.
Followed. It was just lagging behind, basically.
So it's hard to say, but what I can say is profitability is there. We're getting ready for a big blow off top.
The opportunity is massive right now.
Exactly.
To buy stocks like Tesla, buy stocks that are just going to go parabolic. Yeah, and buy cryptos that are going to go parabolic. Yeah, I completely agree with you. And also, the thing with the economy is order comes through chaos. And what we're seeing right now is just a massive shifting of certain types of jobs are becoming pointless and useless. And then other types of jobs and industries are doing extremely, like, ridiculously well. You know? So we're dying off. It's like an evolution process. Certain areas, industries, and things are dying off, and other industries and things are taking over in their place, and they're doing extremely well because of how much these ones died off. And so that's going to be really exciting to see. And what's cool is a lot of these day traders, a lot of these new traders, they're going to get wrecked. But for the people that, you know, have been around a little longer and have seen the cycles, or maybe they're following people that have seen the cycles, like when we get to the top of this blow off top, you better bet your ass we're going to make a ton of money short selling these markets.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a massive opportunity on the downside, just like it was a massive opportunity on the upside, for us to profit off of all of the chaos, off of all of the dropping, off of the massive correction that will come in a lot of these different commodities, stocks, and even crypto will have its cycles. So it's just understanding that, like, you can play the market from both directions, and that there's opportunity no matter what. That really gives you a lot of empowerment to where you're like, okay, yeah, the economy might be having a divergence right now in some industries. It's not every industry. Like I said, some are doing way better. The economy has a divergence right now in some industries, but if you trade the economy, it doesn't matter whether it's a bull market, it doesn't matter if it's a bear market, it doesn't matter what industry is doing good, what industries are doing bad. If you are a trader and an investor, you make money no matter what.
Yeah, I agree. And something to talk about is just the fact that, you know, we've been accustomed for it's been a 100-year cycle in the stock market since the Great Depression. And in that 100-year cycle, the markets have just gone up almost the entire time. Like, there was the short-term corrections. 2008 was one. There was one in the 80s. There was one in the 90s too. Just these short-term corrections the entire way up. But they were nothing compared to, you know, anything that you'd see in a bear market, because they were just short-term pullbacks. What we're gearing up for potentially is one of those multi-year bear markets for the first time in this 100-year cycle. And for that, that's why I think that now is a very important time, because we're seeing the retail FOMO, in my opinion. We're seeing all of the retail getting ready to FOMO into stocks. I've seen it with my dad. I can see the emotional psychology inside of the market. People that were never into stocks, feel like they missed the boat in 2008, are now ready. They were ready for COVID, a lot of them. They were like, all right, time to buy. I saw so many people, man, so many people buying stocks that never bought stocks before. And I can see this happening, and from that, it just makes sense that we're due for a big bear market. Obviously, we're still going to get the blow off top, but when that happens, it's going to wreck a lot of people. But people watching this podcast, people that are learning about this stuff right now, it's going to be an amazing opportunity, because, you know, there's still going to be other bubbles. There's still going to be other bullish markets that are going to spawn, even while everything else might be correcting. But nonetheless, you can still take all of your profits from crypto, take all of your profits from stocks, silver, gold, whatever it might be, and you could just start hedging it and shorting the market, basically. And, you know, it's not like you have to be the perfect trader to do all of that, but the thing is, it becomes just as easy as a bull market. It's just the fact that you got to be on the right side of the trend for it to be easy.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting that a lot of new people are getting into it, because the media phase, if you Google market cycle chart and then pull up the one that shows the public phase, the institutional phase, the media phase, that chart shows that the media attention phase is right before the massive run up, and then the double top, and then the bear market. And so for people that have never bought to be getting in, that doesn't necessarily mean we're at the top. At the top, everybody's going to be in. Literally everybody.
Everyone's going to be holding
right
stocks.
now, smarter people are starting to
It's like
buy.
the smart public.
Yeah, the smart public is starting to buy. And then when we get that massive run up, some of the smart public will probably try to hold on, think it's going to go up forever. That will just be like, oh, we've had a 100-year bull market, we're in a new paradigm, it's going to go forever, we've changed the way that we view the world, we're invincible now, blah, 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 blah. And then that is what's going to lead into the double top pattern, the correction, just like 2018 crypto. We're going to see that with the S&P 500, we'll see that with the Dow Jones, we'll see that with all of these different stocks and companies. But it's exciting. It means that if you know about it, you can set yourself up, your family up for security, for profit, and for really a lot of clarity inside of the chaos.
Yeah, it's interesting that you actually brought that up, because I saw a tweet the other day from some guy. I mean, I had over 200 likes, so obviously he's got a decent amount of followers. But this guy tweeted and he said, obviously you guys haven't studied so-and-so's book, because he said bear markets are virtually impossible in this new economy. And when he said that, I was like, oh my god, this guy is in for a rude awakening.
Coming soon.
Exactly, and that's the thing, is the fact that people think that, you know, just because there's infinite printing, just because there's all this stuff, that it's just going to magically go up forever. And while technically that could be the case in a hyper-inflated economy, the thing that people fail to realize is that the dollar will become substituted for something else, and then you'll still have the same correction.
It can't last forever.
No, it literally can't. And that's the thing.
It's impossible. What goes up must come down.
Yeah, and people, they look at the 100-year cycle and they get too bull bias, and they just think that, well, if it's never gone down from this point, it never will, when in actuality, those are the people that are buying the top right now. Those are the people that are going to be holding, you know, maybe they were in profit, now they're going to be holding losses and capitulate the bottom, and that's just the way the cycle works, and we're seeing it translated perfectly.
Yeah, and the thing about the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones, people don't realize this, but the Great Depression was an 80% drop. Ethereum from its peak was like an 80+% drop. Bitcoin, I mean, from its peak was an 80+% drop. Ethereum was like a 90% drop. 94% drop. That is gonna happen in stocks. You're gonna get tech stock companies that people think it's impossible for it to drop more than 30% because they've been in a bull market for the past 10 years or 20 years or 30 years.
Microsoft.
And then all of a sudden it's gonna drop 80 freaking percent or 90%, and they'll be down 90% on their investment. And when, if you would have been taking profits, if you would have been aware of what's coming, not only could you have profited off the drop, but you also could have been buying the dip after an 80-90% drop with all of those profits, getting ready for the next cycle. So yeah, I just think big picture, you guys. Don't get stuck in the euphoria. What goes up must come down. There will be a correction. I think it's about 8 years from now. We'll keep you guys updated through the podcast, through our channels, and all of that stuff for what we're seeing inside of the markets. But just prepare yourself and, you know, be aware that that's the reality of the situation. But it's not a bad thing. It leads to growth. It's an evolution, you know. Old companies die, old stocks die, old things die so that new things, new systems can be born. And that's the beauty of the situation. I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to go over in today's podcast. We love and appreciate every single person that tunes into these, every person that shares these videos, every person that comments, everybody that likes, everybody that dislikes, everybody that says funny jokes about how Donovan looks about the guy from Back to the Future. Keep them coming. We love all the support, all the comments, and we look forward to seeing you guys next week for the Moon Boy podcast. We're excited about California, baby, so meetups and connections with you guys in person coming very soon.
Yep. So, with all of that being said, as always, peace out.
Stay profitable out there.